thresholds. We cross them every day, from room to room, from outside to inside and back again, from there to here, from anywhere to everywhere, from age to age. Each threshold offers an opportunity for change, for renewal, for transformation, from what we were and what we are to what we can be. In this hour and in this place, we cross a threshold from our day-to-day everydayness into space and time, attuned to the other, to the sacred, to the holy, into an awareness of new life pregnant with possibilities. How will we be renewed in this moment? How will we be changed by this hour? How will we be transformed through this gathering of beloved community? Come, you longing, thirsty souls. Come, let us worship together.
Welcome to the Unitarian Church. My name is Nathan. I'm your associate minister. Joel Miller is your interim minister. Leah Hartman is doing the music and a lot of the magic that makes the music happen, along with Trey Davis, your choral director. You just heard from Kathy Smith, your director of family ministry. There's so much more. First things first, if you would like a stone placed, we're going to have two conversations for the live people and the recorded people. So live people, first, if you would like a stone placed in the chalice bowl, 504-334-8034. Got it? 504-334-8034. Also for the live people, we're going to say goodbye to Joel today from 12 to 2. He's going to be at the church. Drive up, wave at him, send him your best wishes, and leave. If you're a recorded person, don't come because he won't be there. Also, I've noticed a lot of owl feathers around the sanctuary, and I'm trying to figure out what it is. Congregation, don't worry, we're on it. And the other thing, and this is really a cool opportunity, General Assembly every year is the assembly of thousands of Unitarian Universalists from all over the country. This year, because of the virus, it's all online, and so you actually get a chance to participate. And a lot of it is free. So all you do is just, I guess, Google General Assembly or UUAGA or whatever it is you want, and register. Go consume as much of this content as you would like. It's a really good week. Glad you're here. Glad you're with us. We're going to do worship now.
Good morning again. As our lesson this morning, I'm delighted to share this video created by my colleague Liz Roper and her church dog, Darby. When I found it on YouTube, I thought it would be perfect for this morning's theme. I hope that you enjoy it as much as I did.
I have a story for you today. When the Wind Stops. Adapted from Charlotte Zolotow. There was a little dog looking up at the sky where the sun had shone brightly all day and was starting to go down. She could see dusty pink, orange, and then deep purples. She was sad to see the day end. It had been such a great day. She'd spent time playing with her friend in the yard, sipping icy cold drinks, and her mother had even read her part of a storybook on the porch before bed. When she got into bed and her mother was tucking her in, she asked, "Mom, why does the day have to end?" Her mum said, "So night can begin. The day doesn't really end. It starts somewhere else, so night can begin here. Look out the window, you can see the moon and the stars coming. The darkness is here to help you dream." "But where does the sun go when the day ends?" the dog asked. "I said it doesn't really end. The sun goes to start a new day and a new sunrise somewhere else. Nothing really ends." "Nothing ends?" asked the dog. "That's right, nothing really ends," said the mum. "It just changes, starts anew somewhere else or on another day." The dog thought about this and asked, "Well, what about when the wind stops?" "Well, the wind just moves to play and dance around in another tree's branches." "Well, where does the dandelion fluff go when you blow it and end the puff?" "Well, it blows onto someone else's lawn to start new dandelion puffballs." "Well, what about when you get to the top of the mountain and it ends?" "It doesn't end. It goes down and becomes the valley next to it." "What about the waves as they break onto the shoreline?" "Well, they don't end there. They get sucked back in to become new waves in the water." "What about when the rain stops? It becomes new clouds to become new storms and rain elsewhere." "But the clouds that move off into the sky, where do they go?" "They go to rain somewhere else." "What about the leaves that fall from the trees?" "They become new leaves as they go into the earth and become new trees." But when they stop falling, that's the end of something. That's the end of autumn," said the dog. "Yes," said her mother, "but what comes after fall?" "Oh, it's the beginning of winter." "That's right." The dog began to smile. "It's the beginning of winter, and then when winter melts away, spring begins, and then summer blooms, and then it's fall again," his mother replied. "You're right. Nothing ever ends. It just starts again on a different day or in a different place or in a different way." "That's right, my love," said her mother. "Now, the dark is here. I need to get you tucked back into bed so that when the night ends here and begins somewhere else, that the new sunrise will wake you up fresh as a daisy."
Today we're thinking of Don Hoppy, who's recovering from a surgery, and also we got a text from Maria that her mother had died recently. We don't know more beyond that. A stone for family. A stone for survival. A stone for fathers, in particular Dave, Leonard. Mothers, in particular Ethel. A stone for justice and peace. A stone for all those who are trapped or afraid. And a stone of appreciation for the ministry of Joel Miller and all those who have served this church. If you have a chalice at home, this is your time to light it. With hope to make this a better world, we light this flame. Its light is a symbol of the power of love.
Here we are at the end of our year together, one that began as a big change for this congregation, and one that's fairly routine, actually, for an interim minister. It's not unusual to have a congregation face a big transition after a long, successful ministry and looking toward having many more years of successful and important ministry. The year ended very differently than any of us could have expected. The pandemic, which has kept us from even being together in worship on Sundays, and I have missed you very much being here in the sanctuary with you. And remarkably, the protests after the killing of George Floyd, protests give my heart some cautious hope that maybe things are finally changing in this country in a big way. So I've been thinking a lot about those protests, even as in this moment I am also saying goodbye to you. Being a minister, though, I see connections. And the connection here is that saying goodbye to me and me saying goodbye to you, and I hope maybe saying goodbye to the racism of this country, or at least beginning to say goodbye to it. Maybe it's finally happening, maybe. There's a common spiritual practice for both of those things. It's a spiritual practice of acknowledging and experiencing fully the feeling of sadness. Our ancient ancestors in the Middle East used to talk about sadness as something connected to salt. But salt was also connected to joy and to birth, to food. Salt was connected to everything. In fact, salt was about interconnection. Salt is soluble in water, comes in crystals and disappears in water if we throw it in. Pick up a pinch of salt, and today we can throw it in the skillet. No worries, we've dropped some on the floor. No big deal. Maybe we'll sweep it up a little later. But salt was so important to our ancient ancestors. It flavored the food we ate, the nourishment of the earth that we received. Every child, every being is born from salt water. And have you ever stood on the ocean shore and felt on a windy day the spray from the salt waves crashing on the shore, and you can taste the salts and feel the immensity of the ocean. All of life is born out of those oceans. And I feel that spray and its saltiness, and I'm reminded by the ocean, we are all connected. Everything is interconnected. Salt's dissolved in most of the world's waters. The rare unsalted water that we humans need eventually does go into solution in our bodies. Our bodies give some salt up to the water so we can bear our children, so that we can taste our food, so that our bodies can function, so that we can shed our tears. Salt was precious to our ancient ancestors. Salt was rare, essential. If they worked very hard, they evaporated a few small crystals out of salt water. That was hard work. They were lucky they had a salt mine nearby and could dig it out of the earth by hand. Today, we can mine so much salt that up north, we just dump it all over the streets if it snows a little bit. But that hasn't changed the meaning of salt for us. Too little salt, and our food seems to lose its taste. No salt, and our bodies don't function. Nothing is born. Too much salt, and the food burns our tongues. Too much salt, and we touch it, it burns our skin. Too much salt on the streets, and it burns the roots of plants. In the Sermon on the Mount, the Rabbi Jesus talks about salt. He says, have salt in you, because you are the salt of the earth. Strange sayings to us today, but in those days, understanding that salt brings forth children, salt is in our tears, salt connects us all. Having salt in ourselves reminds us to fully experience those connections, to be aware of them. So this next reading you're going to hear, it may seem a surprise for this last sermon that I share with you as your interim minister this year. But it's a very powerful and original poem by this congregation's own Abel Thompson. Abel grew up in this church. He comes from you. I hope you'll come back to this sermon, this service, and hear this reading again on this YouTube channel of the church. Abel's poem is a truth well known to our black folks here in the congregation. But for those of us who are white, it will be hard to hear it, or maybe even impossible. Do you know what Wakanda forever means? Because if you don't, you've got some learning to do. I have an assignment for you to build your spiritual skills around sadness. If you can learn to let this poem bring tears to your eyes, you will know a profoundly greater connection to your own souls and to the life in the world around you. Sadness is a gift from the soul. Let the saltiness of it burn you when it should burn. Have salt in your souls, and let your sadness not be a stopping point for your lives, but a beginning point for all the life that is ahead.
Bill Street, Rucker Park, Wakanda, Black Wall Street. Sounds of freedom, moments of freedom, imaginings of freedom. Freedom gained only to be burned to the ground by the National Guards and white vigilante squads. So-called freedom is only achieved by the ashy remains of freedom, caught by the wind, carried back across the Atlantic only to be colonized upon their return. Our freedom has been put in an urn, and that urn has been placed on the mantle of white morality. The party line is, we've come so far in terms of equality. Well, if that's so, then why does 8 minutes and 46 seconds feel like 400 years of knees on our necks, chains on our necks, ropes around our necks, squeezing the breath from our necks like juice from strange fruit? Yesteryear's sundown towns have been transformed into broad daylight cities. So miss me with your public statements and your corporate pity, and forgive me if my protests don't sound too peaceful. But see, the thing about violence is learned. And y'all been some damn good teachers, but I've also learned your secrets. You know, the things you didn't teach us in your school. Like, instead of integrating City Park, you poured concrete in the pool. You drew red lines around our houses. You was forced to keep us bound to communities we were not allowed to invest in. Nah. Instead of achieving true equality, you use the perception of it as your strongest weapon. A standard as basic as one established by the word matter is up for debate as it relates to black lives. And when you equate blue lives with those that are black, that just lets me know that you know that being black is a hell of a job. And we're tired. We are tired of working alone. Peace.
Today for the offering, I'm going to ask you to give her a little differently. So if you are watching this, it is likely you're a member and it is likely you've pledged. So keep paying on your pledge. If you're watching this and you are a visitor or you didn't pledge, please still make a gift to the church. Remember that not everyone is able to give. And so if you are lucky enough, like I am, to have not yet been hit financially by this virus, consider giving more. Maybe to this church, maybe to other organizations, maybe generously to people you see who need it. We cannot right now pass the bursar from hand to hand like we normally do, like it's a tradition in this church. But we can still make a difference with who we are and what we do with the gifts that sometimes we earn, sometimes we are given. So I'll ask you to give very generously as this morning's offering is given and received.
Salt. It lies in our hands in crystals too intricate to decipher. It goes into the skillet without being given a second thought. It spills on the floor so fine we step all over it. We carry a pinch behind each eyeball. It breaks out on our foreheads, and we store it inside our bodies in secret wineskins. At supper, we pass it around the table, talking of holidays and the sea.
We are going, heaven knows where we are going, but we don't pretend.
We will get there, heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will.
It's really hard we know, and the road will be muddy and rough when we get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. Oh yeah yeah, oh yeah yeah, oh yeah yeah, oh yeah yeah. We are going, heaven knows
So here we are, this last service at which I get to say goodbye to you. You get to say goodbye to me in worship. And we knew this time would come, and I feel sadness that I'm leaving you. I've loved being here with you. And the sadness tells me that, and how important this relationship has been. Glad I've been here. I'm glad I got to see what a great ministry you have with each other and for your community. It's common for folks to ask in interim ministries, do you have to leave? Why can't we talk with the previous minister? Can we call you after you've left? And it's normal for us to feel sad at all of the changes that come with departures, with interim times, transitions, transformations. But it's important for us, especially as American folks, to understand that sadness is not something to be fixed or gotten through. Sadness is a message from our hearts and souls. In the United States, we rush to fix things. Let's get this taken care of and move on. Congregations are not things to be fixed, to be taken care of. People are not things to be fixed, nor our feelings. Sadness is not a thing to be fixed, it's a message, as I said, from our heart and soul. And so, for those of us who are white, as we encounter Abel Thompson's poem, and find ourselves finally feeling sadness for 400 years of suffering, for which barely anything has been done. The message we will get from that sadness is a good and powerful message. As a side note, when you feel it, don't go rushing to the nearest black person and start dumping all of your feelings on them. They got enough to carry as it is. Thank you very much. Find one of your fellow white members and have a conversation with them. So interim ministers know sadness is a gift. Have salt in you. Find the balance that good salt brings. If there's a burn, let us find more of the water of life to flow through us. And if there's not enough taste to life, we need perhaps some more salt. So have salt in your souls, have balance. Remember to be who you are. Powerful, strong congregation, a courageous one, integrating years ago. Now is the time to understand how to live as a people who are anti-racist, to feel the full range of feelings that come with terrible oppressions and great sufferings, and to share them as you shared so much of your lives with one another. You're a great congregation. You have great ministries to do. It's been a privilege to be with you.
Gather the Spirit, harvest the power. Our separate fires will kindle one flame. Witness the mystery of this hour. Our trials in this light appear all the same. Gather in peace, gather in thanks, gather in sympathy now and then. Gather in hope, compassion and strength. Gather to celebrate once again. Gather the spirit of heart and mind. Seeds for the sowing are laid in store. Nurtured in love and conscience refined. With body and spirit united once more. Gather in peace, gather in thanks, gather in sympathy now and then. Gather in hope, compassion and strength. Gather to celebrate once again. Gather the Spirit growing in all, drawn by the moon and fed by the sun. Winter to spring and summer to fall, the chorus of life resounding as one. Gather in peace, gather in thanks, gather in sympathy now and then. Gather in hope, compassion and strength, gather to celebrate once again.
We will gather again. We are gathered now, but it's not how we want. Not everyone will be here when we gather. And yet everyone will. Your soul is still here. Your loved ones are still here. We are still here with you. Go in peace. Go knowing that you are worthy of love and justice and kindness, and the world is better because you are here. Go make the world better because you're here. Go in peace. Go in love. Amen.